Recording in progress.
All right.
All right, this is the Planning and Zoning Board meeting for May 19th, 2026. I will call to order, and we will start with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do roll call.
All right. I want to introduce first Jennifer. She is our new alternate member. So Jennifer, you can participate tonight since we're short one right now. And then Ed Kulikowski.
I've been here.
Nancy Ross.
Here.
Michael Elliott.
Here.
Matt Seddon.
Here.
And Jennifer Tyre.
Here.
Thank you. We're all here.
All right, thank you. We will open public forum. If there's anyone that wishes to come up and speak, if they go to the podium, name and address, please. No? All right, we will close public forum. And approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 21st, 2026?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 21st planning and zoning meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, pass. We will go to new business. So item 1 on the new business, small scale future land use amendment rezoning for 2253 Bayline Road. So Taylor with Wade Trim will start that presentation.
Every time. Good evening, everyone. Okay, there we go. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, members of the Planning and Zoning Board. Pardon me if how I sound tonight. I appear to be a bit under the weather, but it's good to, not on? Is it on? Oh, that's a lot better. It's nice to present this to you here tonight. So going over the items first, we'll go over the property itself. The subject site of 2253 Bayline Road is an approximately just under 13-acre parcel of land that is zoned and contains a future land use classification of agricultural, while also being located within the town's neighborhood general design district. Here's a site location map, and just in relation, you can see the Hull Island subdivision is directly to the east, and that you can see the site there outlined in pink. And this contains the existing future land use map and zoning map for the property, both of which are agricultural. And you can see, while some of those properties are located in the unincorporated Orange County, the uncolored parcels, you can see surrounding are similar patterns of low-density residential land use, in addition to a bit of preservation and conservation closer to the water. Next slide. So the requested action brought before you tonight is actually 2 separate items. The first of which is a small-scale future land use map amendment in order to change the property's classification from agricultural to low-density residential. The second portion of this single item is the rezoning of the subject property, the companion rezoning, which would take it from agricultural to R1A single-family residential. And the reason for the 2 of these things, and it is important to note that this part is not subject to review tonight per state statutes. This would be handled administratively by town administration. But this would be to facilitate the subdivision of the parent site into 5 distinct parcels of land. And if we go to the next slide, we can take a quick look at that. So here is the proposed breakup of the property. You can see 5 distinct parcels of land outlined with the numbers. And something also important to note, which I've highlighted, and this was worked out in tandem with the town's public works department. You can see, can't really see it very well, but you see the dashed line that indicates that there will, or would I should say, as part of the subdivision, be a dedicated 15-foot utility easement, which the intended purpose would provide a link for a future water line to serve the northwest area of the town of Oakland. Next slide, please. So going into the actual analysis of the rezoning and future land use map amendment. So based on the lot count, the existing lot count, and what the proposed future land use map classification and zoning district would permit in terms of density and use types, the site is expected to go from, or to generate trips comparable to 4 additional single-family homes relative to where it's at now, because there is currently a single-family home on the property, which, and I'll let the applicant speak after we're done with my presentation. The intention is to divide 4 more lots to allow for the construction of 4 additional single-family homes. Per the traffic numbers by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, the 11th edition of the manual, the peak hour trips from this, as one could expect, is expected to go from 1 to 5, an increase in relative 4 trips, which, based on the surrounding density of in the immediate vicinity and the capacity of those roadway networks, we do not anticipate this resulting in any significant deleterious impacts to the existing roadway network. Next slide, please. Go through quickly facilities and services. In terms of potable water and wastewater, either through being provided by the town or through interlocal agreements, we don't anticipate any issues with the addition of 4 properties to this site. I already mentioned the utility easement intended to serve as a connection point for the town's water service. The schools will be upon future development, because I should mention also as the proposed subdivision, there's no development proposed as of now. This is simply a carving up of the actual parcel boundaries itself. But if and when it does come through for development, it would be required or be subject to school concurrency with Orange County and any applicable impact fees that go with that. Lastly, perhaps most importantly, environmental wise, like I said, no development proposed, but there is a significant portion of the western part of the property that is dedicated to wetland, but that would be proposed to be untouched as part of any future development of the site. And of course, all required environmental permits and mitigation that would be needed to be obtained would be verified through the town's permitting process. Next slide, please. And lastly, going into the actual comprehensive plan and land development code language, staff does find the proposal consistent with the surrounding development and land use patterns given the pattern of development in that area of town. Did mention earlier that it's located in the Neighborhood General Design District, which the intent and purpose of this district is to really support detached residential homes on larger lots near neighborhoods in the town center. As you saw from the site plan, the proposal would subdivide the property into pretty significantly large parcels of land, which would inherently lower the density, which also ties into the next point of both the low density residential future land use classification and the R1A zoning district. Both are intended and permit single family development, lower densities, and prohibiting multi-tenant uses. So with all that in mind and considered, staff do recommend that the Planning and Zoning Board transmit a recommendation of approval for both the future land use map amendment and the rezoning to amend the town's future land use from agriculture to low density, and to approve the rezoning from agricultural to single family residential for the property at 2253 Bayline Road. Next slide. And just going into the next steps, just one more reminder, the subdivision would be administratively approved by the town manager, but moving forward from here tonight, we do have the first reading of the 2 ordinances scheduled to go before the town commission for first reading next Tuesday on May 26th, and the second reading before the town commission on June 9th. That is all from the applicant's side, that is all from staff's side. The applicant is also here to answer any questions and provide any additional background, but that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So the applicant can speak now, or do we go first?
Yes, you can have the applicant speak, and then you guys can comment, and then we'll open it to the public.
Right. So the applicant. Yeah. You can just state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Floriano Coutinho, and I'm at 2253 Bayline Road. Thank you for hearing this. This piece of property we've owned it since 2011. Most of you know Farm 9. That's our business. That's where we grew. That's where the impetus was, and so we grow flowers there. The general purpose of subdividing this is really we have 7 kids. That's where the number 9 came from. And so we've always thought that it would be beneficial to have potential property for them one day to be able to live near us. And so that is the general consensus that we would like at some point, obviously not anytime soon because our kids are still not married and don't have kids. So, and at the same time, we're we do not want the town of Oakland to just have tons and tons of homes, and by doing this, it almost guarantees that 13 acres is going to max out at 5 homes because we are going through this process. It is very unlikely in the next 10, 15, 20 years if 4 more homes get built on that someone's going to buy all that and then bulldoze it and build 3.5 homes per acre. So that's kind of our thought behind it, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, any questions?
Yes, I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
Out of your 13 acres, a lot of it is wetland. How much actual buildable area is there? And it looks like at least a third of it, perhaps more than a third, is wetland.
Correct. So the portion that is affected by the wetlands is parcel 2 and parcel 3. Parcel 3 is the property that I currently live on, and that will remain unchanged. And so obviously we're not building anything on the wetlands in parcel 3, and the entire about a third of the western portion of parcel 2 is affected by wetlands. 1, 4, and 5 are not.
Okay, so how what is the buildable lot size then, considering the loss to the wetlands?
So parcel 2, the buildable lot size is right at around 1 acre.
Okay, and the other remaining lots, 1, 4, and 5, are they?
Those are not in wetlands.
Right, but what is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's about 3/4 of an acre for 1, a third of an acre for number 4, and parcel 5 is 1 acre.
One kid you don't like as much as the others?
Well, they've got to duke it out.
So, quick question. You said on the 3rd,
Correct.
So,
you live on
I can hear you. I don't know if it's...
parcel number 3, but
Yes,
isn't there
ma'am.
another home near your home on that same property, or no?
No, ma'am. There's only 1 home on that property.
Okay, I've been there.
There is a home. So if you look at 5, if you go south of 5, Michelle lives there, and that's a totally separate.
Yeah, there looks like there's a driveway right up to.
Yeah.
Okay. I just knew there was something else besides
Yeah.
your home there. And I just want to make a comment. You and your family and Nisa have contributed so much to this town. I'm just really happy that you all are making an effort to do this, which
Thank you.
will help.
There's no variances or anything in this application? Everything is.
We did a preliminary review of this before it came to you as the Planning and Zoning Board. So we verified that all the lots met the minimum requirements of the town's code and the design districts. We established the easement, established the wetland line. So at this point, there is no variances that would be needed in order for this to be carried out.
Good, so we keep it clean for them for even the future. Yeah, good.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, close questions and open to the public. Anybody in the public want to speak? All right, state your name and your address, please.
Yes, sir. Hi, my name is Kelly Zanini. I live at 1354 Southern Sun Drive in Whole Island. So we love Farm 9. First of all, he's part of our community. Our biggest concern is obviously the value of our homes. And so our just biggest concern is there any type of square footage, like that there's a minimum, because our homes range anywhere from 1,800 to 5,000 square feet. So we just wanted to make sure that there's some kind of guidelines that we're not building really tiny homes in our neighborhood. So that was the biggest thing. Obviously, we have a really good relationship with Farm 9 and support the Curry House and everything down there, but we do are concerned about our property values. It's minimal, obviously, cars. His children already drive on the road, so that's not any concern to us. It's just making sure that the property values are very, what's the word I'm looking for? That are comparable to what's already being in the neighborhood, because he would be continuing to be part of our neighborhood.
Can I comment on that? Would you like, or?
Sure.
You have to come up, Flora.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. I think that's an excellent point. I think what I would be more concerned about from my perspective is that we couldn't build some, because I think there is a limit on how big the homes can be built. So that would be, I think if anything, we would probably get close to the upper limit on what, and then I also understand the town of Oakland has very specific building requirements and sizes which we would have to abide by.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna confirm, but I believe we do have all the square footages and that are minimums and that.
Yeah, so, not used to this one, I'm sorry. So yes, the design districts particularly don't give total or minimum square footages, I should say, but they do regulate the minimum width and depth of a lot. So just as an example, for this particular design district, the minimum for any property would need to be a minimum of 70 feet wide and 125 feet in depth. And all of those lots meet this. And like Flor said, there are, every single home that would need to be built there would follow the same standards town-wide, and does have a minimum size that it would need to meet. So, for example, it wouldn't be permitted to build a tiny home because there is a width that has to be met.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Hello, I'm Dave Cespedes. I live in 1201 False Loop, also in the whole island. So my question to you is, like, I got 2 kids. They're grown adults.
Sir, if you could address your comments to the board, it's really.
Oh, okay. I got 2 kids and my kids are grown. But they live 4 miles apart. They don't, they love each other, but they don't want to live in the same parcel of land. I'm worried about, like, are you going to build these 5 homes, like, within the future, or are you going to let your kids decide if they want to build the 5 homes? So is there a chance that 10, 20 years from now, there won't be no homes, just the house on number 3? You know what I'm saying? The number 3 zone, the other ones don't have any. And then my other concern is, okay, you said there's wetland on the west side. So there's no way that that trailer park, there's no way they can cut across. So the only entrance to those 5 homes is going to be from Bayline, right? So that's all. I'm just worried about, when is the construction going to be for those 5 homes, if and any? Like I said, kids don't, they love each other, they're siblings, but they don't want to live near each other either. So, is it really necessary to change this to R1? That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? No? I'll close public comments then. Any other comments? Anyone want to make a motion?
Just to let the board know, the board needs to first make a motion to either approve or deny the future land use map amendment before making a motion on the associated rezoning. So that would be the first motion that you will offer. Because the rezoning, of course, is contingent on the comp plan future land use map being consistent with that.
Okay, so I'll move that we approve the future land use amendment, changing the classification from agricultural to low-density residential.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. So on the second one, another motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we recommend rezoning, because it's a recommendation to the commission, correct?
Yes, both items are recommendations to the town commission.
Right, so I move that we recommend the rezoning of the property from agricultural A1 to single-family residential R1-A.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Thank you all. All right, item 2 on the agenda is the Tubb Street, Oakland Avenue Overlay District Comprehensive Plan Amendment. And I understand Katie with Dick's Height is going to present.
Good start. All right, we good? Can you hear me?
Do you want to control it?
Okay, so we're okay. Hello, members of the Planning and Zoning Board. My name is Katie McGregor with Dick's Height and Partners. I'm here today. I'm joined by Emily Thomas from Kinley Horn, and I'm here to talk to you about transforming Tubb Street into a main street. The project boundary, sorry, this is going to be interesting because I'm scrolling. Okay, the project boundary extends 1 block east and west of Tubb Street from Colonial Drive at the southernmost point to the West Orange Trail at the northern edge. The core purpose is to re-envision this corridor as the heart of Oakland, a living room for the town where daily life unfolds at a human pace. From a design standpoint, we seek comfort first, widening sidewalks, layering in shade with trees and structures, and shaping a streetscape that invites people to linger rather than hurry along. We imagine a street that nurtures local enterprise, small businesses that gently spill into the public realm through outdoor dining and sidewalk sales. Carefully placed plazas and pocket parks become pauses in the urban form, offering spaces for gathering, for celebration, for quiet connection. From an infrastructure lens, we see the opportunity beneath our feet for low impact design stormwater management that work with nature and not against it. And then threading through all of this is our deepest responsibility, and that's to preserve Oakland's charm. Not by freezing it in time, but by allowing it to evolve thoughtfully, honoring its scale, character, and story. Before proposing ideas, policies, or design strategies, we slowed down, we walked the streets, we observed the edges and the intersections, and everyday moments that give the town its life and its rhythm. Through that process, we came to understand what makes the town of Oakland a truly desirable place to be. And that understanding is now quietly underpinned through everything we'll share with you today. So with that local understanding firmly in place, our next step was to look outward toward other communities that have successfully preserved their character while evolving thoughtfully over time. So we studied places like Bluffton, South Carolina, Serenbe, Georgia, Sanford, Winter Garden, Rosemary Beach, and Oakland Park. These are communities that have embraced intentional design, human-scaled streets, and architectural continuity to create timeless downtowns. They're not models to replicate, but lessons to learn from. Each of these places demonstrates how careful attention to public realm design, building form, landscape, and detail can reinforce identity and create places that feel authentic, enduring, and deeply rooted. So with a clear understanding of Oakland's character and a shared vision shaped by both local insight and precedent, this work begins to take physical form. We have a lot of examples. I'm sorry, I'm just not sure how fast to scroll through these. I know some of you have a printout. So here from this vantage point, it becomes clear that downtown Oakland is composed of a series of distinct blocks rather than a single uniform condition. So in response, the study area was organized into 3 separate character districts. And each of these is defined by its role and design intent. But they work together to create a coordinated framework. So we're going to walk through block by block of how this streetscape will look. Beginning at the southern end in the Gateway District, this is the point of arrival into Oakland from State Road 50. Here, the public realm plays a critical role in signaling entry, slowing movement, and setting expectations. Streetscape enhancements in this district focus on memorable landscape elements and entry signage, which is included as number 5 that you see in the bottom left corner. That's a proposed marker for the town of Oakland and the indicator that pulls you in from driving along State Road 50. And then looking at a different perspective of this roadway, you can see the top line there. That image shows you where you're looking at, and you're looking north. So this section view is the proposed condition along Tubb Street. The design illustrates, here I'll go down, a shift from existing pull-in diagonal parking to a consistent parallel parking layout along this block, narrowing the space devoted to storing cars and allowing more room for people and trees. And from a planning perspective, the uniform parking treatment establishes cohesion along the main street. It reinforces predictability, safety, and it allows you to predict how much frontage you have for businesses to create some economic activity in front of their business. Moving north, we want to reinforce a clear sense of arrival at Sadler Avenue, where the surface shifts from asphalt to brick, and architectural columns serve as visual markers of identity, signaling entry into a special place. The treatments along this block continue the on-street parking, wider shaded sidewalks for enjoyable walking and biking. And we also recognize that Oakland Avenue is a very important east-west connector. We reviewed a previous proposal that was submitted at the southwest corner of Oakland Avenue and Tubb Street intersection, and we actually repositioned that site plan a little bit to remove any curb cuts along Tubb Street, because we don't want curb cuts traversing the streetscape. It creates conflict points for pedestrians, and instead we moved that access point off of the side road, off of Oakland. And then we saved number 7, which is a large, beautiful oak tree, by relocating the plaza that was really proposed along Oakland Avenue to that intersection to address that intersection, get some liveliness along that intersection. And so this would be the view looking north down Tubb Street between Hull Avenue and Oakland Avenue, and you'll notice Prairie Coffee House on the left to orient you. And then here, a closer look at the intersection. This design incorporates traffic calming strategies to slow vehicles while introducing visually appealing floral elements to enhance the public realm. And together with subtle branding features, these components signal a transition as you enter the cultural center of downtown, leading us to the Canopy District. So this segment builds on materials and character that already exist today. Brick paving is already present in portions of this block, and the proposal extends that treatment continuously for the full block length, and it reinforces the historic identity. The design also acknowledges future opportunities across the roundabout from the existing town hall. There's a potential for a new commercial or civic development, assisting and anchoring the town center. Materiality becomes a clear organizing strategy here as you move through downtown. The first block is programmed primarily with asphalt and concrete. Then you get to the second block, which is a mix of concrete and brick. And then the central block is envisioned as all brick with integrated landscaping, marking it as the focal point of downtown. The proposed hardscape palette draws from materials that are authentic to Florida's history, including tabby shell, concrete, crushed coquina, red brick, cut stone. These all reinforce a sense of place rooted in local craft. durability, and regional character. And then a quintessential landscape palette focused on oak and palm canopy with naturalized ground level coverings. Oakland's inherent charm and historic character are already evident, providing strong bones upon which to build a true destination, one that fosters daily life for its residents and offers a memorable experience to visitors to come back again and again. To move from vision to action, we shift from design imagery to implementation. The next step in our role was to translate these ideas into policy by amending the Tubbs Street Oakland Avenue overlay within the comprehensive plan. The following slides are just going to go over those in a bit more detail. So the overlay will establish enacting policies to guide future development and public investment, including expanding permitted uses, promoting active ground floor uses, and allowing greater density and intensity than the underlying future land use. Incentive tools like density bonuses offer developers options for development enhancements that align with the downtown vision in exchange for additional units or commercial square footage. And we'll go over that criteria here in a minute. So the existing overlay identifies 3 separate nodes which are proposed to be replaced with a unified Main Street sub-area of the overlay. This new sub-area focuses policies around all of the things that we just showed you in those designs, but historic character, improved streetscaping, neighborhood-oriented businesses, urban design and architectural standards, and enhanced connectivity and walkability. So here's a map of the scoped area, and all of the solid colored properties that you see would be required to participate in the overlay, and then those that are striped would be allowed to opt in. These are focused on properties that front onto Tubbs Street or front onto Oakland Avenue, and those are the properties we've identified that would be required to participate. And I do want to reiterate that this is only for new construction or major redevelopments. So properties can continue to exist as they are today until such time as they come in for some sort of major redevelopment or new construction. The Main Street sub-area will further implement the vision by establishing clear maximum densities and intensity levels tailored to each character district, ensuring future development respects desired scale, context, and small town form while supporting appropriate growth. And here's getting into the density and intensity bonuses. So some of the options here would be vertically mixed use development, sustainable development certifications like LEED, infrastructure improvements, and I just want to clarify that the version of the comprehensive plan packet that you all have may say undergrounding utilities as a qualifying investment for development incentives, and through recent conversations with staff, we've actually updated that to just simply be infrastructure improvements. For example, if a developer wanted to invest in a larger stormwater pond to be able to support future development around the area, that could also qualify as one of these criteria. Also, workforce housing or an enhancement not otherwise required by code that is proposed by the applicant and approved as part of the plan. So if they want to do a publicly accessible park or plaza or some public art to contribute to the public realm, or potentially like a parking lot that could be open to the public for events or something like that. So any application for development within this area would go through the process you see here. They would have a pre-application conference with staff, go to ARB, then come to this board, and then go to Town Commission. Okay, so today's request. So we wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update from ARB. We presented this to them at their last meeting, and we included language in the comprehensive plan at that time for up to 5 stories in the Gateway District, which is the closest to Colonial, then moving north 3 stories in Heritage Walk, and then 2 stories in the historic Canopy District. And ARB, we talked for quite a while, and then ARB recommended that the Gateway District be limited to 4 stories. And so we took that back to staff, and we spoke with staff about it, and staff actually took it even a step further. So they've reduced it to 4 stories between State Road 50 and Ryan Court, which is really in the middle of the Gateway District. And then from Ryan Court to Sadler, you'd have to drop down to that 3 stories. So you'll really get 3 stories from Ryan Court all the way to Oakland Avenue, and then it'll drop down again into the Canopy District. So staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board recommends approval of the Tubb Street Overlay District Comprehensive Plan Amendment with the newest revision to height for the Gateway District. The next steps will be a transmittal hearing at the Town Commission, and then we will come back to this board along with ARB and Town Commission to talk to you about the more granular details of the land development code changes. So the comp plan is really the visionary document, and the land development code is really the implementation document. So we are, for the sake of time, putting them both in one is a little bit complicated. So we just wanted to give you guys the vision today, and then we'll come back with the more granular details. Let me know if you have questions.
Great. Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
don't go away, I do have questions. So this vision doesn't seem to include how people will get to these businesses that we're talking about, all these boutique places. I look at Farm 9, for instance, everyone who goes there parks across the street in the field on a busy day. And that's fine, but I don't see any accommodation in this vision for people getting here. Can you respond to that at all? Where people coming from, we supposedly want people from Winter Garden, Claremont to come here, where they're going to park their cars to get to our walkable street?
Sure. So, well, one, we want to do this because we want people to come here by trail. We've programmed along one side of the street, there would be a bike trail on one side, so you could take the West Orange Trail by bike down Tubb Street. So that would be one option. And then the second option is that we'd be lining the street with on-street parking. And then the third option is, well, it's not really an option. You're required to put parking behind businesses or on a property where you're opening a business. So that requirement's not going away. You're still going to be required to have on-site parking. So all of the on-street parking would be in addition to whatever is required.
Okay, it's just nothing is shown in your vision about accommodating that specific and important need if we're going to have a viable economic community here.
Sure. So if you look at the aerials that we've provided, you can see the on-street parking all along the street.
For on-street parking, but you have parallel parking, which is very low density. I mean, you line up cars at the toe, so you get 15 cars down the street. They're not going to, those 15 cars are not going to support a business or multiple businesses that we desire to have come down and develop in our area.
I understand. I think that our opinion is that it will, along with the required parking on the site. It's actually over and beyond what you have now.
Each site will have their own parking on it. So if a new commercial building comes on, say half of the site is building, half of it is parking. But they don't know what the configuration of that lot's going to be, so it's hard to show the parking.
Right, this is only addressing the public realm, not private development. The only site that we looked at for private development was due to a recent application for this Oakland Avenue Tubb Street intersection. And we saw a really great opportunity to add a public park at the corner, like a publicly accessible plaza that would help to activate that corner. So that's the only reason that we looked at any
But at the corner of 50 and Tubb is a BP station, and on the opposite corner is a brand new business that's in the middle of redeveloping that former batting cage operation, that's not even in there yet. So I kind of don't understand how people would feel welcomed into Oakland and this vision you're talking about without some sort of introduction, so to speak, to that area of Tubb Street that will be developed.
Sure. Well, again, we don't control private property, right? So we can't control what they do there other than the regulations that are in the code. So that is not something that we can just purchase and put in. But we have presented a proposal for entry signage that would face Colonial Drive, so that right now you don't know that Oakland is here. Really, if you're driving by, there's no sign that says this way to Oakland, welcome to Oakland. So we were hoping that some sort of entry feature gateway signage would help to pull people in.
Yeah, and I think the challenge with commercial development and working in that space is that the town is not really inviting to commercial development right now, right? We see what happens next door in Winter Garden. Everybody goes over there. They built Cricket Can and that whole Plant Street development. Now everybody goes there. Now Winter Garden's the hottest thing, and everybody wants to be like Winter Garden. So I think the town needs to have a plan so that developers can see what the vision will be for the town. This isn't going to happen overnight. So I commend the town for taking the initiative to start so that we can start this process. And, you know, if it's a 10-year process or 20-year process, we'll get there. It's not going to be quick, but at least it will start encouraging. And then what happens is as these develop, and you can see it right next door with Winter Garden, as you get developments that come in, the old crappy stuff gets redeveloped. So the BP at the corner will get redeveloped, the batting cage place will get redeveloped. It'll happen, it's going to take time, but the town's got to go into a process to start letting it develop so that we can get to be like that in the future. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, it's not going to be as quick as we all want it to be, but it will happen.
So part of our scope was to provide a list of available grants to be able to fund some of this. So that is an option. And then to your point, as developments come in, when you adopt a code like this, it will happen incrementally. So as a new development comes in, that block now turns into this beautiful streetscape, and it spurs more activity and therefore spurs more interest, and now you have more demand to be here in this community.
Does the town have any interest in building any commercial development to start the process to, you know, kind of like what they did at Plant Street with Winter Garden? Because I think City of Winter Garden owns that and leases the space out. Like, is that come up in any conversations?
It has. I can't really go into it, but the only property that we own is around town center, right? And so we have had discussions. This is like Katie was saying, and as you were saying, this is the first step to have a vision document that we can then start working those other ideas around. You know, we understand you can't do anything. I mean, Dry Right's doing what they can with that building. The nice thing about a vision plan like this is we were able to say, even though it wasn't approved yet, is this is something we're looking at in the future to Gil, who's the owner of Dry Right, and, you know, like, we'd like to get rid of your secondary access, and this is kind of the plan for the streetscape, so that he knew what he was getting into, and he was like, absolutely. You know, as we meet with other people down the street, we can say, these are the expectations moving forward, you know, we'd like you to participate, right? So that is what we can do with a plan like this. This is what's coming, be prepared, we'd like you to participate.
Yeah, it'll drive their rents up. I mean, they'll start being able to generate more income in that. So, do we know, like, what would the timing be for? Because obviously the town's gonna have to rebuild that street and that, like, is that a 3-year process to get to that, or quicker, or?
So again, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have buckets of
Yeah.
money laying around. You know, optimally, you would love to do it in one fell swoop, right? But we are gonna have to piecemeal it. And again, as developers come in, we'd like them to contribute to their area. And hopefully then we can, you know, get additional money to try to develop further down.
Any questions more on this side? Open it to the public?
Yes.
Yep. Anybody?
Wait, can I go back?
Yep.
Building heights, how did you decide on the recommendation for the building heights? 3 stories, 4 stories, 2 stories?
Sure. So we had a charrette with all of city staff, and we did a lot of research on comparable places and looked at what height give you that feeling of comfort and security along the sidewalk, but provide for the types of uses that we were being asked to allow. And so we really settled around that 2-story height in this historic area, 3 moving from here all the way down to Ryan, well, really initially to Sadler and now to Ryan Court. And then we had initially proposed 5 stories along Colonial Drive and heard from ARB that seemed too high. And so we settled on 4. I've looked at several other communities that have frontage along State Road 50, and 4 stories is much lower than what other communities would allow, and the density proposed is much lower than other communities would allow. But that is the guidance that we received, and so that's where we took it.
What would be the proposal for, say, floors 3 and 4 in those 4 stories? I mean, what would be there?
Residential
Residential what?
units.
No, I know. Are you talking condos, or are you talking, what are you talking?
Whatever, I don't
Could be
think
anything.
that anyone controls rental versus ownership.
Either apartments or condos. Could be sold.
Could be townhomes.
It could also be offices. I mean,
Could.
you know, if
Businesses.
parts, yeah.
I've also
absolutely.
seen very successful like 2nd-story yoga studios or nail studios that are appointment based or like schedule based. So there are retail components that work on 2nd floors as well.
Or even like a rooftop restaurant to have open space upstairs.
It's a good vibe.
I didn't know if you had a predetermined vision about what those would be, so that sounds.
That's really up to the property owner, and we've allowed for some additional uses in this area to allow for some more liveliness and activity along this corridor. I noticed when we came for our site visit, Prairie House was really the only place to grab some food, some quick food and a drink, and we were asked to open that up a little bit and allow for more restaurants and retail for people to spend a little more time downtown.
And you're aware that Farm 9 is also in the same property with Prairie House Coffee?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a really cute little establishment.
So is there a 5-story building on 50 in the neighborhood that you could remind me of? Because I can't think of any buildings that are that tall in the nearby.
Oh, I was saying their codes allow it. I don't know of any existing buildings.
I think Schmidt is what, 3 stories?
3,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're going down, the recommendation is to keep it at 3 now.
Yeah.
Well, just to be clear, 4 on 50 and tub up to Ryan Court. So just that very first
Just
part
that
of
first.
it, and then 3-story forward.
I forget what we approved across the street.
In the back, I think that's
Apartment
a
is pretty tall.
3-story apartment building.
So
3 or 4. Yeah,
stay within that.
I think the one that was gonna be behind the grove was only 2, right? that may never happen, but.
That would have been 3, so that would have been kind of what we're talking about here with the retail on the first floor and residential on the upper 2 floors is what that was
Yeah.
approved for, yes.
All right, open it up to public. Good. Public, anybody want to come speak? All right. Does he have to state his name and address again, or is the record on
Flor
it?
Patino, 2253 Bayline. Thank you so much for that presentation. It was wonderful. I want to just ask again on the parking. Is this baked in stone as far as the parallel versus, diagonal? Because I do think that, even though it would be great for individuals to come on bike and or foot in the middle of August, July, that may or may not occur. And we also know that some individuals don't have that ability. So again, when you look at Winter Garden, parking is limited and they have a parking garage. So, anything to allow individuals to come or businesses, or is there parking that will be all the way up and down Tubb Street, or is it just in that small area as well?
So the way that this is visioned, obviously the Gateway District up to Ryan Court would not have the parallel parking, right? That doesn't make sense there because of the turn lanes. However, from Ryan Court all the way up to Town Center, you would have that parallel parking. So we would be gaining quite a bit of parking that we currently do not have.
Okay, thank you.
There's a good bit of parking behind where the dental office is, the cut-ups, and then there's those slanted parking spots that there's a good many of those. So.
You need golf cart parking is what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Golf cart parking, because that's how people are going to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I really don't think people are going to come off the trail. They don't even come to Celebration and Santa's Lane and all that off the trail. They come and park in the field.
But I think this allows them that opportunity. So one of the other things that we're working on, just as a side note, is to extend the Sadler. So we want to create a Sadler linear park off Sadler Avenue. You can kind of see where the beginning of that would be there. That would go all the way and connect towards Longleaf. So that would extend the loop around and then connect back to the West Orange Trail. So it would kind of extend a little bit of that access. We'd also create a golf cart access point so people from Longleaf could connect through as well.
So that's that property where once upon a time was going to be a dog park, that long, skinny
Yes.
spot on that.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's going to be a parallel park, just a long, narrow park.
Anybody else? All right, close public comments, questions. So I guess what are we exactly? Just to accept the recommend it to town commission?
Yeah, it's a recommendation that the town commission, subject to any qualifications or any conditions you want, or even, I heard issues with parking, if there's anything you want to study when they review, when this goes up to them for the transmittal hearing, then you can include that in the motion.
All right, does anybody want to take a shot at it?
Shall I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I make a motion that we recommend to the commission that they accept this change to the height of buildings from 50 up to Ryan Court and between Ryan Court and Sadler, 4 stories facing 50 and 3 stories from Sadler. I also include in the recommendation to the commission in this motion that they consider the necessity and availability of parking in this vision so that we make it convenient and easy for people to visit us and stay and do business.
Just a point of what staff is looking for is a recommendation of approval of the entire amendment to the comp plan, inclusive of the ARB provisions, if that's correct. So if you wouldn't mind amending your motion to include recommendation of approval for the entire plan with those additional changes mentioned. If that makes sense. Because I think you just made it as to the building height.
Well, yeah, because that was today's request. Was it not?
I think it's the entire package with those changes as well.
Okay, so then let me amend.
The bottom bullet there.
Bottom line. Okay, so let me amend the motion to recommend that the building heights be 4 stories from 50 to Ryan Court and 3 stories from between Ryan Court and Sadler, and that the commission accept the rest of the amendment as stated for the Gateway District.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, passes. I just thank the town for bringing this and starting this. It's the beginning of what will be a great downtown area. All right. Anything else? No. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.